Most people miss this, not because they're blind or unaware, but because it's too simple. So simple, in fact, that it disappears in plain sight. It doesn't shine, it doesn't shout, it doesn't try to impress. It just works. Neville Goddard understood this better than anyone. He layered his teachings with metaphor and parable for years, not to hide the truth, but to prepare you for it. Because when the truth is this raw, this direct, most people flinch. But at the end of his life, something shifted. He stopped wrapping his words in story. He stopped softening the message. And in one of his final lectures, God and I are one, he spoke to his students with no filters, no flair, just clarity. It felt like a final transmission, his last message to the ones who had followed him for decades. And when he delivered it, it wasn't poetic. It wasn't gentle. It was shocking. Because what he said next unraveled everything we thought we knew about prayer, about power, about who we really are. He looked out and said, "The I within you is God." Not a metaphor, not an image, not a symbol. Literally. He meant it, word for word. And in that moment, it wasn't just a quote. It was a reversal of everything we were taught. He wasn't saying, God is within you, as comfort. He was saying, the consciousness looking through your eyes is the Creator itself. You're not a piece of God. You're not connected to God. You are it. And that's when it clicks. Everything you've been waiting for, everything you've been trying to attract, the love, the peace, the clarity, the money, especially the money, it doesn't come when you finally do enough. It comes the moment you stop pretending it's separate from you. Because here's the core truth Neville laid bare. The only reason most people struggle to receive is because they're still trying to ask. And asking assumes separation. It tells life, I don't have it. And life, being law, mirrors that lack. But when you speak from unity, from identity, from already having, the gap collapses. The manifestation doesn't come toward you. It emerges from you. That's the real shift. Neville didn't teach people how to get what they wanted. He taught them how to remember they were it. And the tool he gave us wasn't complicated. It was simple. So simple, most people overlook it. But it builds universes. He said, I am is the name of God. Not as a chant. Not as a concept. But as the literal creative force in your life. Every time you say, I am, you issue a command to reality. You're not describing yourself. You're designing yourself. You're setting a frequency that life must reflect. What follows those two words becomes your blueprint. And the universe, like a perfect mirror, responds. So when you say, I am tired, I am broke, I am confused, you don't just feel it, you become it. And when you say, I am powerful, I am wealthy, I am whole, life bends to honor it. The real work isn't in repeating affirmations like a machine, it's in choosing them like an architect. So let's choose one now. One that doesn't beg, one that doesn't hope, one that declares. Say this with me, out loud from the center of your chest. I am a natural winner. I always receive. Again, slower this time. I am a natural winner. I always receive. This isn't wishful thinking. It's not a motivational line. It's a shift in identity. Because the moment you stop seeing yourself as someone trying to attract and start seeing yourself as someone who naturally receives, everything changes. You're not pushing anymore. You're not waiting. You're no longer proving your worth. You're simply showing up as it. Say it again. Not for me, not for a result, but for you. I am a natural winner. I always receive. And if you feel even a flicker of that landing in your body, if you feel your nervous system start to calm, then don't keep it inside. Own it. Write it in the comments. Not to impress anyone, but to tell your brain, your breath, your being, This is who I am now. Because when the mind sees you claim it, when the body hears you speak it, something starts to reorganize. Quietly, but powerfully. You don't need to force this. You don't need to perform. This isn't a technique, it's a return. This isn't a technique, it's a return. A return to what you already knew before the world convinced you to forget. A return to your original frequency, the one that didn't question if it was worthy to receive, the one that didn't shrink to fit into scarcity, the one that simply knew. And when you remember that version of yourself, you don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to chase. You don't have to grasp. You simply become available. Most people try to change their lives from a place of resistance. They try to manifest out of frustration. They say the words, but they don't feel them. They speak, but underneath it is fear. That's why it doesn't work. But the moment you stop trying to get something and start letting in what was always yours, that's when the shift happens. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's subtle, it's quiet, but it's real. Maybe nothing around you looks different yet. The room is the same. Your bank account might be the same, but you are not the same. And that difference, that invisible shift, is what reality responds to. Because you didn't just say words, you dropped resistance, you aligned, you remembered. Neville said it clearly. The world is yourself pushed out. So if your inner self is still begging, doubting, hustling, fearing, the outer world has no choice but to reflect that back to you. But the moment your inner self whispers, I am a natural winner, I always receive, something begins to stir in the unseen. It could show up as a message you didn't expect, an apology you never thought you'd hear, a refund, a deposit, a small opportunity, a feeling of peace in the middle of a storm. Whatever it is, it's real. Because the energy shifted, you're no longer blocking the flow. You've stopped resisting the very thing you asked for, and not because you said the right words, but because you stopped separating yourself from the answer. The mind will try to interrupt. It will whisper, don't trust it. It's too soon. This can't be real. But those thoughts aren't yours anymore. That voice belongs to an old version of you. A version that needed evidence before it could believe. You're not that person now. You don't spiral when doubt shows up. You don't go back to begging. You pause. You breathe. You return. Return to the identity that chose this truth. Return to the knowing that you don't need to force anything into place. Because what you've claimed isn't a performance. It's not a strategy. It's a new frequency, and it speaks for itself. Let this be more than a moment. Let it be your new normal, your new default, your new foundation. And here's where it gets even more powerful. You no longer speak as someone hoping to manifest. You speak as someone who's already manifesting. Right now. That's what Neville meant when he said, claim it quietly, and it will harden into fact. You don't need to shout. You don't need to post it to prove it. You only need to own it. So as the world begins to catch up, and it will, remember this. You didn't force it. You didn't manipulate it. You allowed it. Because that's what natural winners do. They don't second-guess their wins. They expect them. They welcome them. They normalize them. And every time something good happens, every time money flows, or help arrives, or a door opens, don't brush it off. Don't call it luck. Say, of course. Say it with the energy of someone who's not surprised anymore. Say it with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the shift already happened. Say it like a natural winner. Because that's who you are now. Let that knowing settle. Let it build. Let it shape your posture, your tone, your presence. You're not trying to be different. You are different. And the people around you, they'll feel it. Not because you told them, but because you radiate it. You're not chasing validation anymore. You're resting in clarity. You're not forcing results. You're moving from alignment. You're not wondering if it's working. You're walking as proof that it is. Let's pause right here, because what you're experiencing now is not just a mindset shift. It's not temporary motivation. It's the beginning of something permanent, a reordering of how you show up and what shows up for you. Neville's final message wasn't about making people feel inspired. It was about making people remember. He wasn't sharing pretty concepts to admire. He was leaving behind the final thread, the core transmission, the one that said, "You've been searching for what you already are." He wanted his students, and now you, to feel it, not just hear it. He knew this was the last chance to say it plain. And if you let that land, really land, then something in you has already changed. And here's how you know. You're not reacting the same way. You're not looking at your life as a problem that needs fixing. You're not checking the clock to see how long it takes. Instead, you're letting your identity do the heavy lifting. That's the secret most people miss. The real work isn't effort. It's embodiment. It's walking through the exact same world, but from a completely different posture. Not, "I hope things go well today," but, "Of course things go well. They always do. I am a natural winner." Let that sentence echo through your body again. I am a natural winner. I always receive. You're not saying it to get something. You're saying it because it's already true. Because Neville's last message wasn't just a lecture, it was a handoff, a passing of the torch. He was saying, "I've shown you the path, now walk it as if it's yours, because it is." You've been handed a key, not a magic word, not a technique, a key to your own awareness, your true self. And that awareness is the source of every manifestation you've ever wanted. So here's what happens next. The shift you just felt, it starts to bleed into your small decisions. Your tone changes. You don't chase anymore. You calibrate. You don't react from fear. You respond from knowing. And here's the wild part. You'll notice yourself saying less, but meaning more. Doing less, but receiving more. Why? Because presence replaces performance. You'll start to feel it in the morning. Where there used to be panic, there's peace. Where you used to check your phone for something to fix, you now check in with yourself and find something solid. You're no longer walking through life with a subconscious, "Am I worthy?" You're walking through life with a quiet, steady, "I know I am." And the world can't help but respond to that. Because identity is magnetic. It's not hype. It's not energy spikes. It's your standard. And now, your standard is higher. Not because you're striving, but because you finally stop settling. This is where people around you begin to notice. But they can't quite explain it. They'll ask what's different. They'll say you feel lighter. They'll say you seem clearer. And you won't need to explain. Because what they're sensing is alignment. Neville called it assuming the wish fulfilled. But what he was really pointing to was this: a version of you that no longer pretends, that no longer waits, that no longer hopes and tries, but simply knows. That version of you is emerging now. Not all at once, not with fireworks, but with quiet certainty. You're not waiting for evidence anymore. You're moving as evidence. And from this place, something beautiful begins to unfold. You stop looking for the next affirmation. You stop collecting more techniques. You stop asking for signs. Because now, you are the sign. You are the evidence that it works. You are the walking, breathing, receiving embodiment of Neville's final message. And when the old voice shows up, the one that says, "Maybe it's not working yet," you'll pause, you'll smile, and you'll return. You'll say it again, not with desperation, but with calm knowing. I am a natural winner. I always receive. Let's breathe into that identity for a moment. Not intellectually, not as a concept, but physically. Let it live in your body. Feel your feet. Feel your seat. No music, no pressure, no effort. Just a breath, a soft inhale, and an even slower exhale. This, right here, is the frequency of receiving. Not because you're doing something, because you're no longer doing what was blocking it. The panic, the proving, the second guessing. That's what kept it delayed. But now, you've dropped the act. You've dropped the need to earn. And without even realizing it, your nervous system is learning a new rhythm, one where being safe doesn't depend on seeing instant results. One where peace isn't the reward, it's the starting point. Because, now you understand. You don't wait for results to feel aligned. You align first, and the results follow. This is the reversal most people never see. They wait to feel secure after the money arrives. They wait to feel whole after the relationship works. They wait to feel worthy after something external proves it. But not you. Not anymore. You feel it first. And that changes everything. Neville didn't ask you to hustle. He never asked you to visualize harder, journal longer, or beg louder. He simply asked you to assume, to let go of needing and step into knowing, to speak not as someone trying to manifest, but as someone who already has. And that's what you've done. You've shifted from forcing to allowing, from performing to being. And the beauty of that shift is, it's enough. You don't need to stack more methods on top. You don't need to perfect your process. You don't need to monitor your every thought. You only need to stay open, stay steady, stay you. Because the moment you said, I am a natural winner, I always receive, the energy started moving, even if the outer world hasn't caught up yet. It's already in motion. This is what Neville called the bridge of incidents, a subtle sequence of events that leads you, not to the thing, but through the exact unfolding that delivers it. Most people miss it. They're too busy looking for lightning. They expect a dramatic miracle. But you recognize the whispers, the phone call, the email, the delay that turns out to be a divine detour, the conversation that shifts everything subtly, then all at once. These are the early signs, the quiet echoes of a reality that's rearranging itself in your favor. And when it happens, and it will, you won't be shocked. You won't say, "Can you believe it?" You'll say, "Of course." Because when identity changes, everything downstream must change too. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of alignment. You're no longer searching for proof. You're walking as it. And the old part of you, the one that would spiral when things didn't move fast enough, they don't get to lead anymore. They may still whisper. They may still question. But you return. You pause. You breathe. You remember, I am a natural winner. I always receive. You don't repeat it to attract. You repeat it to stabilize, to root back into your identity when the world tries to shake you loose. And over time, that identity gets so deep, you stop needing to say it at all, because it becomes how you move, how you speak, how you choose. It becomes your energy, silent, confident, unshakable. People will feel it in the way you enter a room, not as someone trying to impress, but as someone who already knows they belong. They'll notice you're not hustling for approval anymore. You're not shrinking to stay relatable. You're not playing small to make others comfortable. You're expanded. Naturally, effortlessly. You don't hide your light anymore. You let it shine, not to be seen, but to stay aligned. That's the difference between performance and presence. One seeks, the other knows. And now, you know. So as your day unfolds, you might still be in the same house, still working the same job, still speaking with the same people. But here's what they don't know. You're not the same anymore. And that one change, internal, subtle, energetic, is enough to change everything else. Because reality doesn't respond to effort. It responds to energy, to embodiment. And your energy now says something entirely different. It doesn't say, I hope something shifts soon. It says, it already shifted. And now life is catching up. So the next time something small happens, a new opportunity, a few extra dollars, a compliment, a breath of peace, don't brush it off. Don't say, "That's not enough." Say, "That's the opening." Because that's how it always begins. The universe whispers before it speaks. It sends the wink before the wave. And the people who receive the most aren't the ones who chase the biggest signs. They're the ones who celebrate the smallest ones. Because when you celebrate the small, the universe turns up the volume, not to test you, to mirror you. That's what this new version of you understands. You don't need more evidence. You are the evidence. Every breath you take without panic, that's alignment. Every time you feel calm, where you used to feel chaos, that's manifestation. Every time you choose trust over control, you shift timelines. Let that land. Let it soak into your bones. Because this is where most people abandon the process. They say the affirmation. They feel the shift. But when nothing changes instantly, they doubt. They question. They undo what they just planted. But not you. Because you understand now. You're not planting wishes. You're anchoring identity. You're not chasing miracles. You are the miracle. You've stopped asking, "How long will it take?" and started living from, "It's already done." Neville's final message wasn't to impress anyone. It wasn't about sounding profound. It was his final reminder. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and walk in it. So when you wake up tomorrow, before you check your phone, before you scan for problems, before you look for confirmation, just sit, even for 30 seconds, and breathe. Not like someone hoping to receive, but like someone who already has. Let your breath match your identity. Let your posture say what words don't have to. Because here's what most people miss. You don't feel safe because you see results. You see results because you feel safe. That one shift collapses time. It bends reality. It shortens the gap between you and everything you've ever wanted. Because you finally stopped pushing it away. You've stopped reaching. You've started receiving. And it's not loud. It's not chaotic. It's still. It's certain. It's quiet power. The kind that doesn't need to prove. The kind that doesn't need to shout, "I'm manifesting." The kind that simply walks into the room with presence, and the room responds. So when life offers you something new, something unexpected, something beautiful, don't deflect it. Don't doubt it. Don't delay it. Say, "Yes, I'll receive that." No guilt, no apology, no shrinking. You're not here to chase crumbs. You're here to welcome overflow. Because this time, you're not manifesting from desperation. You're manifesting from alignment. You're not declaring to get something. You're declaring because it's already yours. So take this into your silence, into your decisions, into your posture. Let your presence say, "I am a natural winner. I always receive." Not for attention, not for praise, but because it's true. You don't need to earn what you already claimed. You don't need to explain your peace. You don't need to justify your joy. You just be it. Let the world adjust. Let the people who can't understand fall away. Let the ones who feel it rise to meet you. Because you've stopped waiting for permission. You've given it to yourself. And now you lead. So if this message felt like a remembering, like home, don't lose it. Hit subscribe, not for the algorithm, for you. So that every time the world gets noisy again, you have a place to return to. A place that reminds you of the truth. You were never supposed to prove your worth. You were just meant to remember it. You were never meant to chase abundance. You were meant to assume it. And now that you've said it, now that you've felt it, now that you've declared, "I am a natural winner. I always receive." There's only one thing left to do. Walk like it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for remembering who you are. If this message landed, even softly, Let it stay with you. Let it guide how you breathe, how you walk, how you receive. You don't need to rush back into the old. Stay in this energy just a little longer. Let it root. Let it ripple. And when life shows you the first sign it's listening, smile and say, "Of course it came." You're a natural winner. You always receive. I appreciate you deeply, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep walking forward. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.